Welcome back to BT Vancouver. It is 7:17 on this Thursday morning. There are roughly 400 tents at the growing encampment in Strathcona Park. The city of Vancouver estimates 750 people are living outside in Vancouver. There has been an increase in property crime in Strathcona, violent crime, and people living in the area have protested, demanding the city do something. The mayor is holding a special council meeting today to discuss what to do about this problem. And joining us now is Councillor Lisa Dominato to talk more about this. Good morning, Lisa. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the motion that's being presented to Council today. There are a number of options being presented, including a number of sanctioned campsites, one at City Hall. So we know that a lot of crime has increased because of the encampment at Strathcona. Are you concerned at all, if we separate these sites throughout the city, this will just result in more crime?
Yeah, so I think off the top, I think we need to clarify a few things. We need to deal with the immediacy of what's happening in Strathcona. I think everyone knows it's become untenable in the park there for the neighborhood and for those who are living there. But we are not proposing any kind of sanctioned encampments. In fact, what is being tabled is a proposal around having a navigation center, a disaster relief shelter, which is a formalized low barrier shelter with wraparound services to triage people and to provide them a place to go that's safe, that provides shelter and housing and wraparound supports, and serves as a transition space to get people into more permanent housing. And so so I really think we need to clarify that off the top. No one is proposing unsanctioned or sanctioned encampments in the city.
Okay, thanks for the clarification there. So all of these options, or one of these options rather, is expected to cost around $30 million?
Yeah, so the mayor has tabled a proposal around acquiring more hotels in the city. And we know the federal government has just announced approximately $1 billion to support municipalities in this endeavor, because it is a way to offer quick recovery in the context of COVID, is that we have fewer shelter spaces and more people outside. And so certainly it is certainly a measure that we should look at. I think the question is about the cost of that, cost recovery. But we know 2,000 people who are homeless in the city. We just had a report back this week. About 500 or 600 of those people are unsheltered. So we do need to have measures, but anything involving hotels or apartments has to have wraparound services. This is critical. Housing without supports doesn't work. So we need to ensure that residents get appropriate supports for mental health, for addictions, for chronic health management, and that needs to be a part of any strategy that involves hotel acquisitions.
So I'm wondering what your thoughts are, Lisa, because the mayor has said that the city is not in a good position financially. So do you think that we can pull this off?
I think it's challenging. We do have funding within our capital plan, though, already allocated for affordable housing acquisition. So I think that's something we can look to, and I'll be proposing that today. We are in unprecedented times, though, and it's urgent. But we do need to be looking as well to our other levels of government. The city should be not taking this out on its own. We do have access to potentially federal funding. That program isn't up and running yet, but we definitely should be applying to that, and also looking to the province.
So this, of course, is just a temporary fix to solve the encampment at Strathcona Park. You've been pushing for longer-term solutions, though. We had you on the program last week, I believe. You were discussing how you were calling for a task force to be led by the province and the feds. So what has the response been from BC's party leaders?
Yeah, I have been. So please, Council, pass that motion. It's to have an urgent task force on mental health and addiction and looking at how that intersects with housing. That was endorsed unanimously by Council. I have been calling on the provincial leaders, and I am looking forward to hearing more over the next number of weeks. I did write Premier Horgan at the beginning of August, both seeking urgent support for Strathcona, but also for that task force. And unfortunately, I never did hear back from him about that proposal. And I think that's it's not very heartening. It's very disappointing, in fact. But I do hope to hear more over the next number of weeks of the provincial campaign, because we do need to start treating this with urgency, with coordination, just as we've seen with the pandemic.
Absolutely. All right, Lisa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Always great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.